Morning. We've got Oliver and Mitchell and Ash here. So one thing we could discuss is the Oliver's rocket fuel contribution, which Ash had asked me to follow up on, which I did, and Oliver said he's ready. Oliver, I don't want to speak for you, but I think he's going to get maybe Mitchell or somebody to kind of review the code, and then Ash, is it? A pull request? Is that what you're looking for? Or are you looking for like somebody to say the code has been reviewed?
Yeah, I mean, once it has been reviewed, then it has to come as a pull request, right? I mean, that is the final thing. But before that, we need to make sure that someone has done the due diligence and sort of produced some sort of a even a brief documentation um, saying what this does, how does it help, what was done to test. Um, I, Right.
And
We don't have a format yet, but I think we can work on it as we can take this as a first big initiative from the community.
And I guess where do you want that documented? Like, is that something that, creating a JIRA for the particular item? Is it, where do you want that information included in this process?
It's a good question. We definitely need a JIRA, but I think we should work on a Google Doc first. Once we are ready, then we can talk about putting that in a JIRA. The easiest way to collaborate, in my mind, in today's world is the Google Docs. The way people can come in, comment, and edit it, and make it all good. JIRA, it's too much going back and forth on comments. So we're still pretty early in this process. So I think what we need to do is to say what is this feature, why we're doing it, how does it help. I think that would be the first thing, the starting point, and then describe the components a bit. Where does it fit in, and then slowly kind of move on to what was done to verify that it is good, it doesn't break any other sites. Things like that. I mean, we would have established ahead of time that this is a good thing to have, which is why we're talking right now. But we still want all of this to be captured in a Word doc, in a Google Doc.
Okay.
So whoever wants to take, like I think Mitch and Oliver, if you guys want to take a stab at it, and we don't have a format of the doc yet. I guess we'll just have it as we go along.
Okay.
Yep.
That way, I mean, it's just not me, right? Other people can come in and review here as well, and go from here.
Yeah, I think there would be value to the broader ecosystem if we documented that process. I'm happy to jump in and be the one who does that, where it's just like, hey, Oliver had something that was awesome. He wanted to contribute it. So here were the steps we went through, and now it's into the core, because I think a lot of people would just like to have that information.
And is this process, just so that I can understand where we're going with this process, is this required for, new features only that we're adding in, or is this the kind of documentation that's supposed to exist with bug fixes or anything else that's that's done as well?
Not for bug fixes. Bug fixes,
okay.
In my opinion, the current process is good enough. So yeah, Clint, thanks for volunteering. I think I'll appreciate if you can take care of that. That'll be great.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're saying we're going to kind of figure this process out as we go along the course or journey of Oliver, committing this or donating this open source contribution, right? So, Mitch, Oliver, I guess if you guys want to have a meeting or just keep me updated with what's going on, I'm happy to summarize it. But yeah, you're welcome, Ash. But I mean, I don't know that I can post it until we actually get there, right?
Yeah, no, understood.
But yeah, so I don't know if you guys are paying attention in Slack. I mean, I know everybody's busy, but we had some fall off today. So Poindexter says he's not joining the meeting because we don't have, he doesn't know who the leader is, doesn't know the agenda. Just saying he doesn't think it's going to be worth his time. So I don't know if anybody wants to, quote unquote, be the leader or work on creating agendas for the meetings. But I hate to see, people not attending.
I guess the thing that, related to this that I think is relevant for this group, and I guess before I go into this, are we recording this at this point?
Yeah, I can pause it or stop it if you want.
That would be great.
All right, I will pause.
Yeah. We should review that and make sure that that is still in alignment.
All right. Let me pull up. Let's see, Drive, Google. And I put those, let's see, community, ecosystem advisory groups.
Nope.
And we wait on Google.
Okay.
All right, let's see. Roadmap. Is this one?
Yeah.
All right, everybody's got access to this, right?
Yeah.
Got Mitch is in here. All right.
So we still don't have a ship date for 91. As soon as I'm looking at, I think very likely it's going to be May 1st week. If you want, you can put that May 1st week.
For 921?
Yeah, 91. And so GDPR is, in terms of requirement gathering, I think we've got, thank you, Sebastian, for the document. I have my team doing research and looking at it. The goal for my team is within a day or two to actually have some sort of specs done. It's going to be very spec driven, just like any other new feature, unless it's a defect that requires a spec. So we'll have the spec done probably in about 1 to 2 days, and then we'll give it to engineering for development.
Hey, I had a question. You mentioned creating the spec. Is that something you guys do in public, or, I mean, in the community open, Google Doc? What's your current process for developing?
It is a Google Doc. It is private, but we can share it. We can share it. It's nothing confidential. I mean, it's going to be for you. You will just get to see the format, right? The format. It's an internal format in which the specs are written, but given it's for the open source platform, there's nothing to hold it. We can make it
has a permission to, or has been granted for a long time as a permission on the DNN platform, on the DNN software com to update the roadmap, so he could put out the main key points and dates for each version that would help getting the users confidential about the roadmap, because if those dates are, those information is out of date, this will always create some disappointment and
yeah. So I think who's responsible? Is it Oliver? Did you say who was responsible?
Yes, Oliver Hein he took over this responsibility 2 years ago from.
Yeah, I know, and we didn't really update him, provide him a lot of data now, but I think we now have a way to communicate that to him, or he can come into this document anytime and have a look, because this is a working document and things can change, right? Things can move from one release to the other, and we need to simply go in and update that. So that sounds good.
Yeah, this is the first time I've seen or heard of this document. So if this is what you want the website to mirror, I can translate it over.
Yeah, I mean, we don't necessarily have to talk about bug to bug, but like bug fixes, GDPR compliance, and we've got this one-line item MVC fixes. So I think this is where Andrew dropped off, so we have to follow up with him to see where he is. He said he's going to need a couple of weeks to get this done. So that would be that's a good small release.
I guess
it would actually be good to
to add to this document here to link out the specification documents.
Absolutely, we can do that. And I think if you go into the Slack channel, we have internally the structure. There is a TPM, technical product manager from DNN, and there is a chief architect, and there is a PSCM, product software engineering manager. The three guys who kind of run internally DNN. So that the technical product manager is brand new and he needs to still learn several things. So he's sharing a few things on that channel already. I think I saw something, and I saw Mitchell, you had some comments there, right?
Yeah. So it gets into GDPR comments and things, and I guess the only other thing that I'm really curious on this group's opinion. I don't want to start a version number debate, but if we put GDPR compliance in a 9.2.1 release, my opinion is that we're really violating the concept of a revision release, that it really should be a 9.3 release, because the changes that are going to be made to get GDPR compliance in there are far more involved in terms of feature addition than it being a maintenance item. I mean, we're going to be changing the structure of the user profile. We're going to be allowing people to do things that they couldn't do before. I'm just curious on the thoughts in here as we're managing some of this. Does it matter? You know, because we've got into this whole thing, right, where everybody got upset with, 9.2 removing a bunch of APIs. I'm just curious if this is a time to potentially consider what we're doing with our version numbering before we put, a public roadmap that this is what we're doing.
Okay, but Mitch, of course, on the other hand, we have to focus that also to face the situation that the GDPR gets established on May 25th, if I'm correct. So we do have a time frame, and it needs to be in the next release. The only thing that we can discuss is whether it's a 9.2.1 or what we call 9.3.0. Right?
Yep.
So I have no problem calling it 9.3.0 because it's not just bug fixing. And the more I looked into the document, the GDPR document, when I wrote it or into the subject, the more I thought, okay, there is a couple of things we need to discuss and we need to change, and this might affect, of course, current installations, and we need to make sure that it doesn't break anything for sure.
Personally, I'm fine either way. From yeah, I mean, we haven't really done two sort of a major releases back to back that quickly, but it's always a first time. But I do agree that this is a feature that we're sliding in, right? This is not just bug fixing.
Yeah, I mean, and I guess the main reason for mentioning is historically when we've done something where we've done, a .0 release that had a bunch of problems, the .1 release that came afterwards, right, was just fixes.
Yeah.
In this case, this .1 release adds a really big feature, right? Not everybody's going to care about it, but it could break a bunch of things or at minimum require people to do things. It's the only reason I was thinking about it. We had that talk on semantics of versioning before, and like Sebastian, looking through what will be done, there's a lot of major feature aspects to GDPR.
Yeah, so I'm one of those that is a very strong proponent of semantic version numbers. So my suggestion would be to call it 9.3 and explain it to the community. I don't think it's a very hard story to tell the community that we're under time pressure to, we want to release this new feature before it kicks into effect, and that therefore this is called, therefore there's no 9.2.1. We're going to go straight to 9.3.0, but there will be a 9.3.1, which will be a stabilization release, which we do after 9.2.1. After 9.3.0. Yeah,
sounds good. I think that makes sense. So guys, with that, I think this is a great suggestion. I think we also need to we need to decide on a date when we communicate this. I think someone needs to, I think I would like someone in community to do a blog post once we are closer to understanding what we are going to be doing in GDPR, and just talk out, right? Communicate, have a blog into that as opposed to me doing it. I would like a community, and then someone else can do it. Like, you know,
to post at DNN Software. I can't.
What, Sebastian?
I'm not allowed to post on DNN Software any blog posts anymore. So
you have your own blog post, right?
Sorry?
You have your own blog post?
Yeah, I'm not allowed to post anymore.
No, on your own personal site?
No. Yeah, I have one on WordPress, but I don't think you wanted to be.
Consider bringing you back.
Want me to post it on WordPress?
You want to take it from there, Clint?
Take what, the blog, or are you talking about this?
I think let's add an action.
The roadmap document I was working on.
So whoever is writing here, so when we saw the date, we need to have a date for the first blog, or sort of a pre-release blog on GDPR. I think, Mitch, you've done a couple of blogs on your own site, right? I think it might make sense for you to do a blog on DNN Software.
Yeah, as I can do a blog on DNN Software talking about GDPR and what's coming in 9.3 as soon as we get a little bit further along with the conversations that we've been having.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have any problems taking that on and getting it posted to DNN Software.
Right. So
I just want to wait until we're just a little bit more sure on
what is being done.
Functionality. I think the first post, I'm just going to talk about 9.3, and 9.3 will have X, Y, and Z. I'm not going to probably at that point commit to a date, just because I'd rather this is what's coming, and we know because that's what everybody's agreed to, and then a later blog post can talk about exact release dates and those kinds of things.
So guys, for the next meeting, can we commit on spending like 30 minutes reviewing the specs? I think will be well worth our time and things like that. I know it's not very sexy, but I think we as a group, as Mitch said, right, we have to continue making small wins. This is a pretty good win, right? So as opposed to being hung up on .NET Core, let's have these small wins.
I agree. And can we? I would say that a stabilization release then before we hit the summer break could be a good target.
Question: how much effort is it for DNN for your development team to create a release? Is this really a big issue, or would be a small stabilization release 9.1 before 9.3, even without GDPR, be possible just with a few bug fixes in there? I think that would really improve our credibility. And then we could release 9.3 with the GDPR as a feature, and we can see whether we have a chance to put in one or two more features or not. That's totally a separate issue. But if it's not a big deal to really to create a new release, I think that would be really great for the community to see that we are focusing on stabilization in releases.
Right. So I'll tell you one thing. So ESW, one thing that is really good on ESW is that they want to ship every week. We're not, DNN is not there. They're not, and I don't know whether we want to do it or not, but because they believe in customer satisfaction and customer enablement. So you log a bug, they want this to be available within a week if it's critical enough. So that is the mandate. DNN team is still settling in. I don't know if they're ready to do that yet, but I would like to push it. And I like the idea, and I want you guys to be part of that, the whole decision-making, sort of, at least on the platform side, this next week, this is what we're trying to do, if we can get to that point. But let's say if it's not a week, maybe 3 weeks, we would like to do that faster than holding up a lot of bugs.
So I got two things. One is Andrew has rejoined here, and he may be able to speak to the NVC stuff. But one question I've got is regarding the GDPR stuff. I feel like if we put this in 9.3, and we have to do it, like it's inevitable, right? But I feel like people are going to be like, oh, I have to upgrade to this so that I'm compliant. And when they get to the 9.2, all the deprecated APIs, then they're going to have a bunch of modules that break, right? In trying to be compliant, they're going to then break their site. I mean, it's just like DNNsoftware.com, right? I mean, if we upgrade to 9.2, I think the forum module would break, or any of the older modules on the site. So while I know we need this, I'm wondering if we're going to create, I don't know, some people who are unhappy when they go through that.
I think the ship has already sailed.
Yeah,
right?
we can't go back.
I mean, I agree with you, Clint, and we've got some clients. There's been a lot of hard conversations in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'm not saying that we shouldn't. I'm just saying, is there any messaging we should put out to try to say, like, hey, you need to be at 9.3 so you're compliant this way, but also you might want to do an audit of your modules.
Well, I think that one of the things I can do in the blog post where I talk about it is kind of foreshadow, hey, this is going to be an upgrade. This is what you need to be thinking about, and the pre-work. And then anything that we can do as a community, right, to stress to people, trust their third parties. Now, the problem is we are going to throw some of the third parties under the bus, right? DNN Go, which don't even get me started on the other aspects of DNN Go, but DNN Go is still 3 weeks out from support for 9.2 when I talked with them earlier this week.
When I did the spec for GDPR, when I understand Clint correctly, is what should people do who are not yet on DNN 9.2.0 and which are hesitating to do the shift, and do they have any chance to be GDPR compliant? And in my opinion, when I did the specs, I think it is possible to be GDPR compliant without using DNN platform 9.3, where we implement most of the features into the platform. But this will be an assembly of settings. This will be making it easier for admins to be GDPR compliant. But in general, it is an administrative task to take care of various steps, and then you can be GDPR compliant even with DNN 7 or 8.
That will be your sort of a, kind of your own personal thought, right? Unofficial blog from your end. Well, right? Yeah, I mean, help people out, right? But our official version, our official messaging is that you must upgrade to 9.3 to be GDPR compliant. I mean, that's the official messaging that we're going to have.
Do we really want to make people, I think we will have lots of people who are afraid currently. I have lots of clients which are still on DNN 5.6.7, and of course they will not upgrade if they're European clients, and they will not upgrade just for
right. So yes, Sebastian, I think messaging like those, I think you're welcome to have that on your own. Speak to your own customers and your own newsletters, have it on your own website, but from a voice of the community, voice of the DNN Corp, we would like to have the consistent messaging that 9.3 answers your GDPR.
Yeah, I mean, there's no, I'm sorry, there is no alternative to this.
Right.
Once you start dabbling around with mixing, creating a lot of confusion about what you can or cannot do on ancient platforms, we have the same problem as module vendors on our own with modules. And long ago, I've given up to, let's say, accommodate users who are like, yeah, but I really want it this and this and this way. I'm sorry, we're going forward, and we can't, backport a whole bunch of stuff to all the platforms either. So it's just the way it is.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my message I'm trying to convey is that I think people will want to be compliant, and as a result or side effect, the 9.2 API deprecation will likely.
Yeah, I mean, that happens all the time, Clint. I mean,
Yeah, no, I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm saying if we can work to get ahead of that with any communications, it may help.
yeah, the only communication is that, right, so we have to be more proactive that, hey, this GDPR is coming. Once, I think next week, once we approve the spec, that everything is looking good, we can go out and start talking on Twitter, on the blogs, on your DNN Digest, and we can start educating people. I think the DNN awareness group can kick in and help with some of the awareness. And
you know, I was at a community meeting last Friday in Holland, and interestingly enough, a similar question popped up, right? When someone raised their hands, like, does anyone dare to upgrade to 9.2? And the largest player in the room, who had running 500 sites for over 100 clients, turned to him and said, we always run the latest version. If we can't run the latest version, what are we doing in this platform?
That's good. It's very good to hear.
So Andrew has joined. Andrew, you want to speak to the 9.3, I mean, the MVC items?
Right. I just wanted to clarify, and I think I know the answer to this. This is more directed at Ash. When we talked the other week, this is for the MVC platform in DNN, not Razor Pages, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
This is the incremental bugs the bugs you found while testing, that the bugs you had left, like a better word, in your previous picture.
Right. I haven't had a chance to check that, to look into that and be able to pinpoint the problem with that yet. So I'm hoping to get to that this week. And I believe we talked last time that I had until, I think you said the 20th or the 21st was the date. So my plan is to take a closer look on that on a 9.2 instance and pinpoint exactly, because where I found it was with a module, with an MVC module that I already wrote that was working in a forked instance of DNN that I needed. And so I used that module in 9.2, and I noticed there was some weird behavior around some of those features that we added in that should be in 9.2. So I haven't had a chance to fully investigate that, but I'm hoping to do that within the next day or so I can start working on, if I do need to, start working on a pull request for that deadline.
Okay, so guys, I'm writing here that we need at least 2 blocks. One is from Mitch on the GDPR, and then from Andrew. Right, so we would need, so I think we definitely need some blocks here, guys. All right, so that's sort of our planning for the release, and then I'll do a release notes and whatever, right? And Sebastian, your database, I think I don't know when we would want to do that. You need to again have another person work with you and kind of validate. I think the same format. Once we know how we are approaching Oliver, I mean, there's nothing that is stopping you to work in parallel with someone and have a similar format. What you're offering, why you're offering, right? And then, all of those, kind of a running document, like a Google Doc, and partner with someone. And then we need to come in here and decide which release it will go into, right? Because we don't know about Oliver's stuff, which release it will go into. As part of this group, we'll decide when it looks good, and we'll decide the release.
So I have a question about the MVC stuff that I was just mentioning for Ash. I just wanted to clarify the priority of the stuff that I'm working on. So the Razor Pages stuff, I remember we were talking about getting that into one of the 9X releases or 10X release. Did we come up with direction on when we wanted that to be ready to release into platform?
No, I don't think we have decided anything there.
Okay. Because I was doing a little bit of work on that earlier this week, and I'm going to put that stuff on hold until I get the MVC stuff that we just talked about all squared up.
So guys, as part of this meeting, should we set up the agenda for the next one? Otherwise, we kind of we'll look like we're lost.
Mitch, short question, Mitch. Could we chat later on together about the secret stuff?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, great.
So, Clint, where should we write the agenda for next meeting?
I would love to go through the Jira bugs that are going to be fixed in 9.3. Just maybe we haven't done that in a while, to just say, okay, well, we're going to tackle these and these and these things.
I don't have the list yet, but I think let's put it, where are we? So I think we need a place where we can start writing the agenda, or
Yeah.
some of the disc. Can we have a doc here?
Yeah, so anybody should be able to create one. Like if you were to go file,
Meeting agenda.
document here, and we'll just go, what is the date of the next meeting? So it's a week, so it'll be 4/17.
So 17th.
All right, so this may be backwards for the Europeans, but we'll go.
No, I think this should be a general document that we can use for running our meetings.
Yeah, it's a Google document, so it'll
Yeah, so it's not necessarily 417, right? It's going to be going forward. We'll use this. We'll kind of park ideas here, topics here. Okay, we'll discuss in the next. Like Andrew asked this question, right? When are we going to talk about the Razor pages? So that's a good question. We don't know.
So
Let's talk it.
something I've done in the past with other groups is, instead of doing a Word doc in Google, we did a spreadsheet, and then each sheet was the date of the next meeting, so we can at least have the history of, hey, on 4/17 we talked about A, B, and C, and then on 4/24 we talked about the other stuff. I don't know if that's
However you guys want to do it. If you want to volunteer that, that's fine. Or Clint, if you want to do it, or you want to change it next time. Okay.
No, I mean, so you guys can do it. I'm just trying to make sure everybody has access, trying to see where this is saved as.
You could do public, right? Is there anything to hide here? I mean, these, as long as, make the link public, as long as you have the link.
Can we get a Trello board or something in here?
No, I'm trying to, I guess what I'm saying is, if it's in the specific folder, which
Okay.
should you not already have access to it is what I'm trying to figure out. So somebody could, like, I don't know, log in and see, because technically,
Hey guys, we actually use other teams that I do this with. We actually use Teams, Microsoft Teams Planner, which is the same as really as Trello. But we found it to be much more useful than a shared Word document, because you can do comments, you can do tagging, assign people, etc. So it becomes an actionable agenda, rather than just on paper. Anyways, just a suggestion.
That's a great
It works
idea.
pretty well for us.
Let's get going, but I think that's a great idea, though. I mean, eventually we need to get to a point where we can say that this guy, if he said he's going to send an email to Microsoft, let's assign it to him, and then we follow up, right?
Exactly.
He said he's going to write a
Yeah,
spec,
you can have conversations back and forth via comments in
right.
context of the issue and so on.
Great idea, like a lot more action oriented.
My idea would be that we have a doc or something, a place where everyone can suggest a topic for an agenda. Then we at the beginning of the meeting we can say, we would like to schedule this now, and some other maybe for later, or discard, and then once this topic is discussed,
It should be. I think it should be on anyone with the link. The second option, yeah, that's the best.
So, are you guys, like, I don't even know where this document is residing, because I don't see it in here.
Yeah, you can change it later. Yeah, but I think Clint will let you decide what tools to use. I think we can designate that to Clint, and maybe as we progress, as we become more mature, we can decide on what tools to use, right?
Well, I think it would be good if we could get used to at the beginning of each meeting to say, okay, those are suggested agenda items, which shall we discuss today,
Yeah.
and so we get it a little bit better structured than currently.
Sounds good. So why don't we get cranking here? I don't know how much time we have left. We're already past. So why don't we just settle on next week's agenda? Can you start writing, or is there a link?
Yeah, I can. What do you want to do?
I think number one is GDPR review. that's the next one. And then decide on release number for Razor pages. Well, actually, not decide. Discuss perhaps, and then we have to discuss the release date for Sebastian's data changes, release date for Oliver's rocket stuff.
And we need to discuss the Jira items to be included.
Yeah, Jira items to be included. So I don't know, what do you want, like the corp to to show you what is being worked upon? Or, I mean, I don't know. I don't even know what's going on right now. I have to look into the Git. We can look into the Git commits, right? That's probably the best source of truth as to what's going on.
Yeah, the question is, how do we manage? What's currently the process dealing with pull requests, for example?
Yeah, there is a chief architect
at the moment. How this works? Does it work or not?
Yeah, there's a chief architect who's responsible for looking. He's not attending today, but he usually comes to this meeting. Is something not getting processed?
No, the question is it still in process? Because I still have a backlog of items I should, because you postponed a couple of my pull requests. I have to redo them now and adjust to the new versions.
Yeah, we did like 20 of yours.
Of course, I don't want to waste time on it, doing it now. And they said, oh, no, yeah, we can't do it. And sorry, it's wasted time. And that's something I won't accept.
Yeah, so we can continue our discussion there.
All right, so Ash, what else? Release.
I think this is it, guys. I think there's plenty. If we can even achieve that, you guys can come in and edit here, right? This document, if you feel that. And I think in terms of follow-up, I think we need to have, or maybe hear updates from Sean. I think we want to hear.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm gonna eventually put this document where everybody can see it and edit it in that folder whenever I
So
can.
you want to put a date here, that which date we're targeting this? So this whole bucket is for the next week.
Well, so Ash, I labeled the date in the initial.
Oh, okay.
And you fussed at me about it, so I didn't write any dates.
Okay.
Do we have something in process now for improvement and feature requests? If someone, for example, has a feature idea and even creates a pull request on it, who decides upon it? Is it this group? Is this a program manager? How does it work?
We're going to talk about that next time. Let's put it here on the table.
So discuss process.
One thing, I think we have to be respectful for a time. I think that's why we're putting all of this the structure here, so that we can move faster.
All right.
But I do agree that we have great discussion on.
So Sean Walker just responded to your email, Mitchell. Apparently. All right. Well, so we'll end this meeting. I'll render the video, post it in a blog. I'll get this document accessible to everybody whenever I can figure Google Docs out. And I guess we'll see everybody next week. Does that sound like a plan?
Okay, fine.
Is that good with everybody?
That sounds good.
Okay. All right. Appreciate it, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ben.
Thanks.